my name is Jackie and I am a Life Aberdeenshire librarian. Today I am chatting with Favour B-Wilson, a 14-year-old girl from Aberdeenshire who has shared her journey through lockdown in a book she has written titled A Teenager in Lockdown, a Survivor Story. Her book is like a diary of her daily life going through lockdown, the struggles and challenges she encountered, getting used to being stuck at home, experiencing virtual learning and missing her friends. Welcome, Favour. Thank you for agreeing to have a chat with me today about your debut novel. I have a list of questions for you, so can we just get started?
Yes, hello there, Jackie. Thanks for
Hi.
having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. Now, I'm really interested to know who gave you the idea to journal your experience during lockdown. Can you tell me a little bit about that, please?
Yes, so during the first lockdown that we had, I was very confused. I wasn't quite sure at the start whether this was real or not, rumors. I was bored more further on into it. And this was all very new to me as we had never really been through something like this.
Hmm.
So once I got more into it, it had become weeks, months. I began to understand it more, and I thought that if I documented what was happening, what I was going through, it would motivate and inspire others to help cope with this lockdown.
That's a really good way of, recording it all and helping others as well. So reading your book reminded me of the challenges I personally encountered trying to find things like toilet roll, hand sanitizer, certain foodstuffs, which I am sure lots of our listeners can relate to. Now, one thing that sticks in my mind was trying to find flour, as one of my daughters loved to bake, and we couldn't find any in our local supermarket. Was there anything specific you as a family were unable to get due to people like panic buying? And if so, what was it? How did this impact on you all?
For our family specifically, in the book, we didn't really have a certain item that was scarce or hard for us to get, but it is mentioned that my mum was quite frustrated with the panic buying. She wasn't keen on the idea, as it left less for us or other people who needed it, and people were taking more than they needed. So our family tried to just buy what we needed and when we needed it, which really helped us.
Okay, that was really, really good of you to do that. So very early into your book, I could sense the anxiety of the pandemic from you as you discussed your parents encouraging you to keep up to date with the news as a family, sit together to hear what was happening. You mentioned the only thing that stood out for you in the news was the number of cases and number of deaths. How did that make you feel? And did your friends feel this way, the way you felt?
Yes, so in chapter one, I'm in school when I first hear about this, and it just becomes very real then because rumors were still going around, and I wasn't sure what to believe. No one would make this up, but then again, I hadn't seen it or heard it yet. So when I heard that news story, that first one I heard, it just became quite overwhelming. I was like, wow, this is real life. And that's how it's been ever since.
Yeah, it was a lot for us all to take in, wasn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
you also mentioned the news started to make sense after time, especially when you became aware young people could be carriers without showing symptoms, which is really scary. Once you became aware of this, did the news stories help you understand the reason for lockdown? Did it help you make sense of it all?
Yes, so hearing the news helped me to realize that they were giving us tips and rules, regulations on how to survive this, such as wearing masks, social distancing was introduced, bubbles of certain numbers which varied over the time. And I noticed that all of these things, as long as I stuck to them, I would be safe as I could. And if I got the virus, that would not be my fault as so much to just the virus spreading. So as long as people did those things, you knew that you were secure enough.
Yeah, it was such a big thing and so different for us to actually have to wear masks all the time, wasn't it? It was, and then something we just now do automatically now. Now, there was one thing in your book it made me smile, and that was about the exercise sessions with your dad and being encouraged to take daily workouts. Could you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, so my dad's very keen on exercise, getting fit, health. So since we couldn't go as far as we used to go, my dad said, well, how about we go on walks every day? So in the book, he states that we'll go on family walks each day We'll walk around our streets or just around our county, not too far because we had limits. And we would stick to the social distancing, but we'd still get that fresh air that we had been missing, that we've been drained of. So that really helped us as a family.
I think you did some Joe Wicks as well, didn't you, with your younger brother? Did you not?
Yeah, so my brother and I got we found out about Joe Wicks on the TV from one of those simple channels, and my mom had said, "Wow, this is good." So every morning we would wake up quite early, and we'd go down just do a short one, not too long, 10 minutes maybe. And this added to the walking, made sure that we were still getting that good exercise that we needed.
Yeah, no, I love Joe Wicks actually. I used to like watching some of the funny costumes he used to wear too. I started doing his daily exercises, but I wasn't as good as you. I dwindled away due to lack of motivation, I think, and I found I started eating things that I shouldn't have been, like too much cake, too much chocolate, not good at all. Did this happen to you, or did you manage to keep up with your exercises?
Most of the time we kept up with it, but then there were days where we would just not be in the mood for it, I guess. The lockdown had just kind of changed everything for us.
Yeah.
So walking was probably the most efficient for us since we could just get out of the house and do that. We didn't have to go to a TV.
hmm
So
I ended up walking a lot too, but did you find you were dodging people on the streets because people weren't keeping that distance? I used to get a bit frustrated at that, people not understanding what 2 meters was. Did you dodge people as you walked as well?
yes, we would have to weave in and out of people, walk in lines sometimes just so that we're not in the way of people. And there would just be some people walking carelessly, and you just wonder, this is real.
You've
So
actually just reminded me of us going out a walk and we were like ducks, you should say. You're just following each other in a line.
yeah.
Now, you talk about being able to get through schoolwork at your own pace, which sounded as though you did it quite speedily, and that definitely shows that you're a disciplined student. And I certainly wouldn't have managed to do that. I would have struggled when I was your age to manage to keep up with my schoolwork. However, a great experience for you if you are planning to go on to further education, or other young people being disciplined that way. Have you grown to be more independent with your learning now, or do you still prefer classroom learning? Would that be your choice?
So yes, I've gotten into a routine now, more of a routine, since virtual learning has been very different at first. But now we've been doing it for so long that it's just normal, I guess. I'm used to it. I, however, do prefer in-school learning, as in the book, virtual learning for me varied on different days. Some days it would be fine. Some lessons would ask for a lot, calls with teachers. So in-school will always probably be my preference, but now I know how virtual learning works. I can do it now without being confused and all of that.
Yeah, it was a huge learning curve for everybody, wasn't it? Not just students. I mean, even adults having to work from home, learning new technologies and everything. But as you say, we're all just into the swing of it now. Now, you
Yeah.
also discuss your virtual social life. How important was it to you and your friends to be able to still remain in contact with each other in this way?
It was very important for us in the book. We would FaceTime each other, we would text each other, and because schools had introduced more Teams and Zoom, we would use those kind of platforms that we could have multiple people on calls, and that way it kept us all connected, as
hmm
well as the social distancing, not being able to see each other face to face, and
hmm
that just really helped us to still have fun, look forward to something each day.
hmm Oh, I know it does. It makes such a difference, being able to see someone, even if it is just virtually. Like I say, that me and my colleagues sometimes have virtual coffee breaks, which is just lovely to be able to see someone. Now, you actually included some poetry in the book that you've written, and you are now going to read Easter Holiday in Lockdown for us. So now we have Favour reading Easter Holiday in Lockdown.
How can I explain that while the sun shone on empty streets and grasses grew tall in nearby parks, with flowers blooming with the start of spring, we were forced to stay safe indoors? How can I explain that going out was now a danger, and a friend was to be treated like a stranger, that leaving the house was for set tasks only? We were forced to stay safe indoors. how can I explain that Easter will be a private affair, and loved ones can only be seen virtually, that touch from another could make me ill, as I was forced to stay safe indoors? How can I explain that the world I took for granted was asking me to take a pause, to reflect on the damage done by humans as I was forced to stay safe indoors?
Thank you. That was lovely read. That was really well read. So we'll just go back to the questions now that I have to ask you. Now, you discuss in your book about all the things you were missing last Easter. How did last Easter, when we were getting, it was new, all of this, getting used to all the way we had to be, compare with this Easter for young people?
Yeah, so my family, specifically, we used to go out on big Easter egg hunts, but in the book, the first lockdown, they had organised a small Easter egg hunt for us in the garden, where they would hide eggs in between the fence or different places, and it was to imitate that experience that we would have. So when we had Easter again this year, it was the same, and it wasn't as different for us since we had already done it before. So we had just become more used to it since we're still locked down, nothing's really changed much. And that made it, I guess, more fun. We could just get into it more and still understand that this is what we have to do.
Yes, it was just last year was your practice really, and then this year was, well, we're used to doing it this way now, which is what we can say for a lot of things. So I don't have a busy social life at all anymore. Everything's virtual, and being in front of a screen all day, I find it hard to actually meet people like friends virtually through the evening. But have you become more accustomed to a less busy life, and do you think you're more accepting of the situation now, having a less busy social life?
Yes, I'm definitely more used to it. I've definitely just adjusted to it. And by being able to have all of this social media in front of me, but not having to use it like at certain times I just needed, it was compulsory, like school. It's just helped me to actually get a grip of the situation. And that's just mentioned throughout the whole book, I guess, just certain different parts, calls. Yeah.
Yeah, our social life has definitely become in front of a screen, it'll be nice to be able to go out and meet people again.
Yeah.
Now, I want to find out about your untidy bedroom. I noticed you spoke about that you were always getting a row for your clothes lying around. Did you find you now had more time to keep a tidier bedroom? Have you started picking up your clothes? Will you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, so throughout the first lockdown, you'll see that I had small arguments, not big ones, but my parents just wanted me to actually get up, tidy up my room. I'm in there all the time, so why was I not tidying it up? And to be honest, it was just not a priority of mine. But now, since I've just noticed that, come on, I'm here for months in this exact place. I'm working here, I'm playing here, sleeping here. I just thought it would be, smarter to tidy it. So now it is more tidy than before. Still messy at times, but yeah, more than.
You'd no escape, had you? You just had to,
Yeah.
if you were going to be in there, you'd wanted it to be, I suppose, as pleasant as possible. Now, on a more serious note, you had a good friend who lost a relative to COVID. That must have been so hard to hear. How did this affect you and your friends?
Yeah, so in the book, I had written a card for him as my mom had suggested that, well, you need to connect with him, show him that you're there for him somehow. So it just became closer to home as it was one of my friends, not just some stranger. It was one of my friends who had lost a relative, so it became more real. It shocked us all, and we were all sympathetic for him. We all made sure to keep in touch with him, send him texts. Although he might not have seen them at the time, he would be able to reflect and look back on them and know that, well, we were there for him. So my mum just said, keep in touch with him, stay strong, and do some nice things for him, and that's all we did.
Very hard not to be able to physically support somebody going through something like that. But as you say, sending a message, he didn't have to reply. You just knew that he had those words to help him, and that makes a big difference to someone. Now, going back to some of the things that you were doing during lockdown, I'm a lot older than you, obviously. I've never heard of Roblox and Fortnite. Now, these are obviously games. So, did they help at all? And can you tell me a bit about them?
Yeah, so in our family, we were just trying to find different ways to keep ourselves busy. And all got online, my siblings and I, we got online, and you'll see that I was in my room on the computers playing Roblox sometimes, or we'd all go down and play Fortnite together. And these weren't necessarily just things that we just wanted to do. It was just to take our mind off all of the world surrounding us and
Hmm.
just to have fun, let loose a bit.
Hmm. Yeah, it is. It's just trying to distract yourself, isn't it? Just finding
Yeah.
something else so you don't dwell. Now, I know you spoke about spending a lot of time in your room playing games and things, but you watch Netflix, you're on your social media, and you also talked about hibernating in your room as well. Did you find being encouraged by your parents to do things over the summer helped you get out of your room? Because you said you spent a lot of time in there.
Yes, of course. So my parents said, instead of always doing things online or in front of a screen, why don't you go try getting new hobbies? Like baking was one of the big ones I did. So I baked cookies, I baked cakes, and this was a fun way because I enjoy baking.
Hmm.
This was a really good way for me to get something else in without taking something else out and being able to just do something else in this tough time where we're restricted. And I really enjoyed doing that. It's one of my most favorite hobbies.
Yeah, and a skill that you can just develop as you get older. I mean, baking is a great thing to be able to do. Now,
Yeah.
again, you talk about that being in your room, hiding away, actually, you speak about how it caused arguments between you and your parents. Did you find your friends and peers were also experiencing challenging with their parents, falling out? And how did they deal with the arguments?
Yeah, so from the feedback I'd heard about people reading that bit of the book, they had said that, wow, I could relate to that. I would just be lying in my room all day on my phone, social media, and my parents kept saying, go out, do something. You can't be in here all day. And I was thinking, yes, of course. I mean, we can't do much, but we do have other options as long as we find them or make more time for them.
Hmm. And did you experience mood swings and feeling a bit low? Did you find that as well? And did your hobbies and like baking and getting out, did that help with mood swings and that?
Being a teenager, of course, you're going to have bigger mood swings. You're locked inside one place. You can't go see your friends face to face. So all those different things I was doing was helping keep me happier, just more active, more
Hmm.
involved. And that meant that I would not be as moody or grumpy. I would
Hmm.
know that, oh, I've got something to look forward to today. I can call my friends. I
Hmm.
can I can just go watch Netflix. I can bake something, and all those things helped me personally.
Hmm. I know. I mean, it's just not just young people that are going through all the things that you've said. The feelings. I mean, mood swings and feeling low, and I think all ages are experiencing that. So what you're talking about, the hobbies and getting out and doing different things, it's something we all need to be doing to help us, pick us up a little bit. So the final question is, you'll be glad to hear this, I'm sure. You talk about survival tips. I mean, are there certain survival tips that you have picked up that you could share with other young people that could be useful for not just now, but for other challenging situations? And if they are, what are they? Your survival tips?
So across the whole book, I've got distractions. That's been a big one for me that I would recommend to everyone else. I would say find different ways to distract yourself, no matter what age you are, no matter what you enjoy. Just find something to do instead of staring at the news all day or staring at your calls, work, school, all of those things. As well as the major one, which is just following the guidelines and the rules that they've given us. That would probably be another huge one. If you're following all the things to keep yourself safe, then you've got a lower chance of actually getting the virus and you're keeping others safe. So safety as well as distractions, those would be the two big ones I'd say.
Okay, that's really useful. So we've come to the end of our talk, so I really just want to say thank you for taking the time to speak with me today. I'm sure parents, young people and other listeners will totally relate to a lot of what you have covered today. Now I'd like to end our session with you, Favour, with a final poem from your book titled The New Normal.
Thank you very much. The world is beating the invisible enemy. A price was paid to claim this victory. Lives were lost and sacrifices were made. Many will never be the same again. Yet, we live to tell the tale. We must not lose our immediate goal, to never shut school gates again, to keep restaurants, pubs and shops open. Our sporting clubs must keep playing if we want to live to tell the tale. We are forever grateful to key workers, doctors, nurses and carers, teachers, pharmacists and postmen, delivery drivers and shop workers, all who kept working to keep us well looked after, just so we can live to tell the tale. The virus may never go away, like HIV and malaria. It may have come to stay, but we find a way to get our lives back by defining a new normal for all humankind in order to live to tell the tale.
Oh, well done, that was lovely. So if you're interested in reading Favour's book, titled A Teenager in Lockdown, A Survivor's Story, check out the Live Life Aberdeenshire library catalogue, where you can reserve this book and collect it via our click and collect service. Alternatively, you can purchase this via Amazon. I hope you've enjoyed listening today. Thank you very much. Bye bye.